better is you could spin the negative aspect of it. People are button pushers, so they can force this thing to go into bulk mode over and over and over to boil those batteries. So, sounds like a good thing, but information telling someone that that fourth stage is just as much as shaking that battery or that trailer going down the road to get the sulfate off those battery cells or the plates themselves. So the fourth stage is just smoke and mirrors. That's really all you have to combat the difference between us and a progressive, other than how our fans function. And the fact that all of our products have the blown fuse indicators on them. That's just a standard across the board. I think that might be partial standard on some of the other competitive products. What other questions would you guys have that would make our product easier to sell, or at least easier for you to promote to a dealer? Like
The OE list that you gave us, being as specific as you can get with that. Because if that's what's on his units, you can't tell us no, that he shouldn't have it on his shelf.
I think the easiest way, instead of that could be a lot of information, but if my card's in there, if you guys were to email me and tell me what specific, like if you have a main dealer that you work with that does a lot of product, they have a lot of business, when you could tell me, hey, this dealer, I need to know what they're putting in a J-Flight or a Keystone Cougar or any of those. Like if you guys can directly send me an email and request what products that you want information on, I can provide that to you individually instead of trying to come up with a 400-page list of every single OEM out there. So we can specify it to you guys individually if that's what
Could
would
you
help
send that to us in an Excel file?
Absolutely.
Because then we can start taking everybody's questions and start compiling, and before you know it, you'll have a list.
No, absolutely. I mean, I do all my spreadsheets and all my work is done through Excel, so I could just forward that on to you. And it's already loaded into my computer. So it's not even like it's gonna take me a week to get it to you, like I'm gonna have to search through a bunch of papers. Like I load them into my computer, so when they do a JACO audit, when they get back, I load that straight into my computer. So I can get you the month of March, April. I mean, I can get you what's newest, or if you wanna know what some of their older units we're using.
Our competitors, warranty-wise, are they 2 years also, or 1 year?
I think the standard is 2 years across the board. We don't have to fight this anymore. There was someone at one point that didn't require the OEM to return the product, but we do require it. And with us requiring the product back, we can actually help figure out why this person went through a couple of orders in a short time. What else do you guys have?
You got like a feature embedded comp sheet?
Compared to our competitors?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying there's not really a benefit from us to our highest competitor, which is gonna be PD for you guys, other than the support that we have behind us, because they do the same exact thing. The only other thing that you guys have with us is we do have proven 1% or less warranty rate. I can't vouch, I don't know if PD's at a 0.5% or 12%, but I know we are absolutely under 1%, which is a pretty hard feat when you're putting out that many units.
So it's basically our fans against their wizard.
Our fans, myself and our engineer who just talked to you downstairs, believe it provides more longevity for our product compared to a progressive that's gonna run incrementally with heat.
So that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They're standing on their wizard and we're gonna stand on our, if we're really trying to product one against the other, that's really the only.
And that's the only reason I was saying, the only way you can fight our product to their product, they have technically one up on us, if you wanna say that, with the charged wizard, but you can throw a negative spin on that by saying you can damage batteries, you give people the opportunity to damage batteries. The only way you can fight that is with the negative aspects of giving the customer that product. And the fact that it's kind of bullshit, because fourth stage, if anyone knows about batteries, you need sensors, you need to be able to tell temperatures of cells. Like just because you have a battery connection does not mean you're actually desulfating the battery. You're just burning it off with high voltage, so it's just, it sounds good and people see 4/3 and they're like, I'm gonna choose 4-stage. So,
And one of the bigger things you're gonna find when you get into the marketplace, start looking at the different products, we are competitively priced.
absolutely.
And a lot of times, we are significantly cheaper than the competition.
Especially in aftermarket. On the OEM side, everyone's pretty close, but we did a couple studies, and I mean, especially Parallax. If you guys do some research on Parallax, you're talking, like, for our 8955 main board, $140, $150 online. Parallax for their main board, like $350 to $400 for a main board. I mean, it's a big difference, and it's not like you're getting anything out of that Parallax other than a few extra pounds. It's a lot heavier, but you're not gaining anything. It's a 3-stage charger with the same voltages that ours puts out. Technically the same thing in a different format.
Since you brought up online, and Todd, you may know about this, I've already had a dealer go, well, I can buy it from Amazon cheaper than I can buy it from distribution, so what's that mean? Because that's the first guy I talked to.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
boom, you know.
we all know that we have some of our distributors who are selling the product online. And we have not necessarily identified all of them, but we know it's being done. And, we're trying to crack down on them. The other side of it is, and I had dealers come up to me during shows and tell me, well, I can buy the product from the OEM cheaper than I can buy it from a distributor. So we've got some OEMs that are selling the product on the back side, out the back door there, that they're not supposed to. It's illegal, it's unethical, but we're trying to crack down on who they are. We don't know exactly who they are because the dealers wouldn't give me that information. And that's the ones that are finding it online for less than a distributor cost.
And that's what that's the first thing we're gonna run into. We're gonna hit a wall with that, I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Like I said, unfortunately, like I said, we're unfortunately, but they're doing it, but we are trying to crack down on it and make them aware that, hey, if you wanna sell it, that's fine, but you've gotta sell it at this price at least, because we sell through distribution, that is our backbone, and we've gotta be able to support them, and you're killing that side of the business.
Right.
What other questions would help you guys sell our product? Like I said, when you learn one of our converters, you know all of them. There's just a different format of how many breakers it can hold, how many DC fuses they can hold, but they all do the same exact thing. They're all UL compliant, but once you learn one, you got them all.
How do your competitors sell against you?
PD says they got the Charge Wizard, and it's good for the batteries.
They don't say anything else. It says Charge Wizard, that's the battery. They don't say anything about the construction year, the future we have an 85% market share. With their patent. That's the only thing they're bringing to the party. It's pretty weak in my book. Is there something else, any dirty pool going on out there, or anything like that? Negative connotations towards your company, anything that you see like that?
I mean, you're definitely gonna find bad blogs and comments on the internet about the product, and that goes back to a numbers game as well.
Are you aware of them using any of that data or information out in the marketplace against you?
Not them specifically, but they might promote that to the dealer, I guess,
I still think we should get the fan noises tested.
that's something we can
Because
definitely
it's bullshit, because like you said, most people can't hear it anyway, but if it gives you one more thing that says, well, look, we have a lower, we're quieter, it's just another thing to say that we're quiet. I mean, even if it doesn't mean anything.
That's the biggest complaint.
do. That's true.
I mean, if the customers are calling, complaining, they hear the fan, if we say we're the lowest fan noise, then whether it means anything or not, it is a bullet in a gun, and it is something we can talk why they should buy ours instead of somebody else. Now, we might do the testing and we might be louder, who knows? But,
We might be.
I mean, and if we are, then we scrap it.
Never mind.
And I'm saying that realistically, like I said before, they do have a different fan construction of how the blades are laid out. And I think they have more blades, to me, in my head, more blades equals less noise. No? wrong.
Going to four blade versus 12 blade. I mean, I used to work for a manufacturer. We'd have 4 blade units, and then we went to a 12 blade unit because it was quieter than a 4 blade.
It was quiet.
Yep.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you were doing the opposite.
No, I believe ours is a 4 or 5 blade fan, and I wanna say they have an extra blade. Like the blades are a little bit closer, so in my mind, I'm like, they might be quieter.
Well, we'll next.
Well, no, it's worth the try.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, at least we'll know for sure, but, and that's something we can always bring up to talk to Ted, our engineer downstairs, and be like, hey, maybe we need to look into a different fan. Maybe we need to look into adding a couple blades on that fan.
It's just, if it's that even, anything you have to say ours does better should help.
Or even if it's insignificant difference, even if they are slightly quieter than us, but it's not significant, then we need to know that. So we can say, no, they are not
Right.
twice as better, you know, twice as good as ours, or half the noise or anything, because we've done the testing and we know that.
We have done functionality tests, and that's why we can't say we're better charging than they are, because they operate the same exact way. They just have a button to force something more than we can.
We're just looking for another thing to talk about.
Absolutely, no, and that's something we can definitely dive into, and we will.
Like you said, maybe it's something engineering can fix and create an advantage for us by being quiet.
It's just a computer fan, so it'd just be another part that they source out instead of the fan that they're getting now, you know what I mean? And I know the fan that we're using is probably the same fan we've used for a long time. Yeah,
Any tests done on how clean the DC voltage is compared to?
that's actually an excellent question,
I know a
because,
couple years ago, Parallax had a real problem, so.
yeah, that's a great question, because you guys are gonna hear things about,
AC ripple.
AC Ripple, but for Dometic. Dometic likes to blame us for their fridges failing,
Yeah.
and they say it's because the converter has a DC Ripple. That's complete bullshit, because if you go downstairs, you'll see in our engineering lab, we have scopes, we have all these measuring tools, we actually check those on IQC. So we get AC ripples, we are at like 0.05 millivolts. I mean, it is extreme, we are lower than Progressive Dynamics, we are lower than Parallax, we have probably the lowest AC ripple out there.
That's huge.
My AC ripples,
What the heck is a AC ripple?
mine's available, that's for
That
sure.
is a big deal, and we have,
It's parasitic.
Dometic claiming that to their customers, so their
Well
customers calling us and, hey, I need to file a warranty claim because I talked to Dometic and they said my fridge failed because my converter is putting out dirty voltage to my fridge. That is very possible, but I'm like, how do you know that? Like, if they can give me a volt reading on it, then I would believe them, because there are components that can fail, that could break down, that maybe it's allowing a little bit more out than it's being filtered. But we could go out there right now and we could show you 0.05 millivolts on an AC ripple, which is not enough to do anything to any component.
Most of them are not over 3 is what they want.
Yeah.
The question back here is, what is AC ripple?
AC ripple is AC voltage on your DC output. So a converter takes 120 volt AC power, converts it to 12 volt DC voltage. AC ripple is when you're getting AC voltage on the DC lines. So you should technically only have, like when you use a voltmeter, you should be getting nothing or barely anything AC voltage on your DC line, because DC is direct current, AC voltage is alternating. So it's a different voltage, and AC ripple is gonna be on anything, but it's about how it's filtered. The more it's filtered, the less AC ripple, the cleaner the product, so it's not gonna damage things, because AC ripple can have effect on a lot of different items.
AC ripple's the new linebacker.
Denver?
And Buccaneer.
4-4.
That's one of Progressive, one of their bullet points is about the fan. And it's talked about theirs being quiet and how the electromechanical sensors are more subject to failure and may stick in the closed mode because the fans operate all the time, resulting in an irritating noise. It says some competitive converters. So
They're saying other converters.
they're saying that our fan, that their fan's better than ours.
They're probably right.
And they also say that that the charge wizard won't boil the batteries, and has a big exclamation. That's wonderful.
There's a lot that can be said about anything. I could say I am wearing a yellow shirt.
No, you're not.
Exactly. But I'm wearing a yellow shirt. But,
Well, but I'm colorblind, so I need to know what to say to this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you, and I believe you, obviously, but if they're saying it doesn't boil the battery, and you're saying it does boil the battery,
Or could.
or could,
It just warms it.
I like the idea that fans don't come on before the electronics get on.
yeah, the fan part, we have an
Yeah,
answer.
you're on preventative maintenance by doing it that way
that's
versus. doing it when
realistic.
it
Like,
gets hot.
if anyone thinks about it, if you keep something cool, it's gonna last a little. Who's ever skunked a beer? Like,
What?
exactly. Would you rather keep that beer cool so it's good at the end of the day when you wanna drink it? Or is it okay for, oh, that beer got hot, let's cool it back down and then drink it? No, it's gonna taste like crap.
We just drink it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I can't go out of beer this hot.
Wrong guy.
Beard, raise your hand.
Bobby actually sleeps with his
I mean,
beer.
that's just kind of, it's not the same, but it is. I mean, you don't want something to heat up and cool back down because that's gonna put wear on things, you're gonna get a bulging, I mean, it's just,
Well, you've done a good job telling us why the fan's better, but if they're saying it doesn't boil the battery, does it or not?
And they've been using it for
Yeah,
years.
boy, the battery's not clean.
ask that dealer, how many converters have they turned in because the converter was putting out high voltage and it boiled the battery? What is bulk mode doing? Bulk mode is giving someone high voltage more consistently, that's gonna boil the battery. So whether it's the converter failing putting out high voltage or whether you're forcing high voltage on it, high voltage is what is gonna boil a battery. A full battery is at 12.8 volts DC. So if you have 14.4, 14.6 volts on it, 90% of the time, how would that not boil a battery? So, I mean, it's just, a full battery is 12.8 volts. How would 14.4 volts not boil the battery if it's at a constant thing? That's why our converter, bulk mode, stays in for a maximum of 4 hours, whether the battery is fully charged or not. If you have a group of 6 batteries and they're really low, it might take longer than 4 hours to charge those, but after 4 hours, our converter will stop putting out bulk mode and go back to a normal voltage level because high voltage over a prolonged amount of time will boil a battery.
Maybe that's our promotion.
Well, I think they're playing with words there. Yeah, it won't boil the battery unless, like you said, the customer gets button happy and starts pressing the button.
And that's the thing, no, the voltage itself is not gonna do it, but giving the customer the option
The option
of
of, you know,
repeatedly doing something, because in a normal functioning trailer, you're not gonna go into bulk mode every day. This is gonna be something that only happens when your battery gets so low, because that's what it's there for, is to bring a battery up quickly when it's low, not to fill up a battery quicker when it's high.
Then have the customer, after it's already filled up, have the customer go by and go, oh, this button needs to be on so I can see the light.
And like I was explaining to you, if you guys have someone that has a PD, if you look on that PD model, when it's in regular mode, it has a yellow strobe that's flashing. Flashing tells me I need to do something, so when they push the button, it goes solid.
Yeah.
So that's not something we designed, but it's something that, it's like, that doesn't make sense. If I'm gonna make something go solid and it looks like it's good to go. So I mean,
If we're not checking the water level in those batteries and they keep hitting that, it's just gonna dry out.
absolutely.
Or if it's just extra heat, constantly it's gonna dry that battery if they're not checking.
The thing is, voltage is the speed at which the amperage goes into the battery, so amperage is actually what is charging that battery. The voltage is just the speed at which it goes in. The higher the voltage, it can fight the resistance more, so at 13.6 at normal voltage level, you're gonna have less amperage going there. If I had a voltmeter up here on a converter and the battery was taking 11 amps at 13.6 volts, if I forced it into bulk mode, that amperage might jump up to 20 volts. Because higher voltage is gonna increase the speed, that's gonna fight the resistance that the battery's saying, hey, I'm full, hey, I'm full. So higher voltage lowers the resistance, well, not lowers the resistance, but fights the resistance more than a lower voltage, because the voltage is the speed at which that amperage is going into the battery.
So if nothing else, it creates the opportunity for the customer to boil the battery, where we don't give them the opportunity to boil the battery.
Correct.
So that's the way you get around their statement.
Correct. The only way ours is gonna boil a battery is we've had bad converters that have faulty parts in them that doesn't put out high voltage. And we'll get them in and like, oh, converter was putting out high voltage and boiled our batteries. So the voltage is what helps boil those batteries because it's lowering the resistance, allowing more amperage to go into a full battery when technically it's saying, hey, I don't need any.
So to go against their statement, it's yes, maybe the charge wave in itself doesn't boil a battery, but it gives the customer the opportunity to boil the battery, where we put a fail-safe in where they can't boil the battery.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Because once upon a time, we did have a button like that, and we went away from it. And we've thought about it on some of our new products, and we took it off, again, just because you're gonna have people claiming batteries too. So, I mean, not only can they do it themselves, but just like, you can buy a bad battery brand new, and then you can blame it on the converter. And then when we test it here, if it's putting out 13.6, we're gonna be like, no, the converter didn't do it. But if it's putting out that high voltage, you can claim that. Anybody else?
They always put the American flag on their product.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
It's a symbol in
If you look at their aftermarket,
Mexico or whatever.
Yeah,
built for that.
if you look in their aftermarket packaging, it does say assembled in America, and they put a American flag on it. Well, North America is technically Canada, Mexico, and North America, or the United States. So, I mean, they're made in Mexico, but they're allowed to put that just because it's a symbol.
Manufactured and serviced in the USA.
Manufactured in the USA?
That's what it says, manufactured.
Who is that?
That's Parallax's website, that's on their website. I mean, Progressive.net.
Progressive, right on their website, says probably manufactured in the USA. And then you go down to the bullet points on that main page, and it talks about how it's assembled in the US. But right here, it says probably
No,
manufactured.
I was gonna say, so, I mean, we could technically say we're assembled because we're boxing stuff up here. I'm not sure how that works, or,
Who walks the king of that for years?
no, absolutely.
American made.
Absolutely, American-made company, but they were import a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a big claim and that's hard to fight, but we know they're made in Mexico, right? PD's, yeah, we know their factories are in Mexico, so that's not true. That's just like Harley Davidson. It's an American bike, but now it's made in Mexico, so it's a little bit different.
Just like Anheuser-Busch is now from Germany beer.
But, the difference is, we don't build our products here, our factory is in China, but our engineers in America, in Elko, help design these products, and we have input in changing them. It's just obviously a little bit cheaper to make things there than it is here. But we don't claim that on our aftermarket packaging, and I don't know how you're gonna fight that to a dealer, because there's some people that American made all the way.
Proudly designed in USA.
I mean, we're definitely designed in the USA. What else you guys got? Nothing?
Is that something we should put on exterior packaging, designed and assembled in the United States? I mean,
I don't know about that, and I don't know if it's that simple.
yeah.
I mean, maybe they just jumped the gun to help promote their sales, but that's just, it's kind of a,
Desperation.
yeah.
It's years. So I know that when I was parts manager, they used to come in and that was one of their selling points. Used to support us because we're an American company.
I mean, do you guys want me to, you want me to get a map of their facility in Mexico so you guys can check it out?
Good access to satellite?
Now you're talking.
I'm just saying, like, that's, I don't think we're gonna change what we're doing, because you don't fix something that's not broken, and we've been selling our product like this for years, and pretty much anything and everything out in the world is either made there, assembled there in China. I mean, that's just the way our economic system is, just because it makes sense. But, definitely helps them if they have an American flag on there.
That will crush them.
You'll crush them? I like where you're going.
That's because Bob's got an orange shirt.
products again in our product catalog to just do a refresher course. And then I'm done with you guys today, and you guys can do other fun stuff with some of the other people in the facility. If you turn to page 12 of 13. And one thing I started to find out for you guys is main boards. I don't think we have that market back boards for the 8500, but the 8500 is one of our newer products. It's our 30-amp panel for our converters. And like I had told you yesterday, this separates itself from our other converters because this has an LED incoming voltage indicator. None of our other products have that other than the 9500, which is this one's bigger brother. But the incoming LED voltage indicator is telling you if you have low voltage, good voltage, or high voltage. That's good because a lot of camping sites out there have dirty voltage. They have old power grids and they're fighting bad voltage altogether. This is not a surge protector, so high voltage will damage this, low voltage will damage this. If it's just high, not like if you plugged into a 240 volt system, but say it goes prolonged at 130 volts or 135 volts AC, this light will go red and it will actually shut down. So it kind of protects itself, but it's not a true surge protector where it's just going to protect itself from a lightning strike or anything like that. But for a prolonged high voltage situation, this will shut down and kind of protect itself. So you have the LED voltage indicators on this one, and then you got the, what is this, bulk mode. You got a bulk mode LED indicator on the DC fuse board. That's something that you're probably gonna hear from dealers like, oh, I can never tell if my Whitco converter is in bulk mode. In bulk mode is that 14-4 fast charge that we've been talking about. The only way for people to see if they're in bulk mode on our old converters is to put a voltmeter on it to actually measure the voltage. But then you get into the conversation of, oh, I'm supposed to be in bulk mode, I'm only reading 13.8 volts, I should be at 14.4 volts. Well, there's a relative common ground between amperage and voltage. So the higher the voltage, the lower the amperage. The higher the amperage, the lower the voltage. They're kind of like on a little teeter-totter. So if the converter's putting out 55 amps, you're not going to be at 14.4. That voltage is going to be down. If the converter's only at 11 amps, that voltage is going to be higher. So they're going to read the 14.4 when the battery is more being full, just because voltage and amperage go hand in hand. So now they don't need a voltmeter, but they can look at their DC fuse board to see if they're in bulk mode because it'll light up bright yellow and it'll say, hey, I'm in bulk mode. The 8500 comes in pre-wired, quick connects, which is like a spade terminal, and the screw terminals, which is a screw that you can put under the wire under the screw. And there are main boards available for this, so you don't have to replace the whole system, but they are not an aftermarket package. We turn to the next page, we go back to our 8700. Dealers, I don't believe, are a huge fan of this one, just because, like we said yesterday, this one you have to replace the whole system. So you have to replace all the AC wiring and all the DC wiring if this thing goes bad. You can't just switch out the main board. Even though some of the dealers do on their own. We don't offer a main board for these, but they'll actually take the time to unscrew the board off of the panel itself, rewire all the pigtail, and they'll send it in. And sometimes we'll deny it just because you're not supposed to switch out the main board on these. It's one piece. But this does not become dealer friendly for you guys. You know, it is one of our bigger sellers. Again, this is just one of our basic converters that's used very often. The 30-amp panel, and just like all of our other converters with the fan, its load, and blown fuse indicators, just like every other converter. That's what I was saying. Once you learn one of our converters, they're all the same. One holds more than the other. One holds DC, one more AC. One more page, we'll go back to our 8955, this is the bread and butter. This is what you're gonna sell the most of, is, well, not the whole PEC unless they break the case in some way, but the MBA that goes into the PEC. And, yeah, this is about a 1 minute switch out, so, with that paper I gave you guys earlier, we're more than willing to train some of your dealers in properly installing and making their install a little more efficient. I doubt they're gonna wanna do that just because it's gonna take away money from them. They like to take 2 hours to replace something. That's it.
They'll probably still charge 2 hours.
Yeah,
They'll make a more money.
yeah, and there's not really a way to fight that. I'm not gonna keep going on converters because we really outdone those. Turn to page 22, we're back to our transfer switches. Does anyone remember what a transfer switch does? What does a transfer switch do? It's just a time delay. It's just another connection point that provides a time delay for the generator. So why would you guys push one of these for one of your customers? I'm not sure why you would, because this is something that this would be installed in at the OEM, because this would have to be hardwired with your shore power and a generator to make it effective. Only way I can see someone in the aftermarket doing this if they wanted to do like a solar panel inverter generator system so they could be completely off grid, and you can put anything you wanted on the generator or shore power, like it's just voltage that triggers it. Yep.
If I remember right, did you say yesterday that there's not really anything that could go wrong with this?
No, he didn't say
I mean, there are things that can go wrong with it. It has an AC fuse on the timing board, so if you put too high a voltage in there, it still can blow the fuse and then it won't have a
So
time delay.
basically, just a fuse though.
Yeah, and then the sled itself, so vibration can offset the sled, that can make it.
The worst thing is when they're changing short generator with loads.
Yeah, they can weld the relay. If they have a very significant load and they plug in and the relay arcs over, it can weld and it'll stick to one side. So it'll only work off shore power, it'll only work off generator, it won't get the other leg of it to work. So that's possible as well.
The salespeople think the best way to turn off the air conditioners is hit the stop switch on the generator. They don't turn off the air, so they just hit the stop switch on the generator.
So they're done with everything else in the coach?
It shuts everything down on the stop switches.
Instead of hearing the battery disconnects and stuff.
Yeah, they do some funny stuff. This is our 30-amp transfer switch, so it's one leg of 110. The only difference with our T57, which is our 50-amp transfer switch, is you got 2 legs of 110, so you got L1 and L2 instead of just L1. But they're identical with the relay. They can both have the same issues. One thing they can't do is generate more power than they're given, so they can only pass through what they're given. What else we got? Hate to repeat myself. On the next page, we got the REP again. You guys have the crossover sheet, so there's not too much to go over this. This is not something special. The REP is pretty much just a deck mount converter, our 9800 deck mount converter. That's in a frame that fits the old Parallax and Magnatech converters. And like I said, I'm not sure what this costs in the aftermarket world, but if you look at a Parallax main board that they would need to replace it with, it's gonna be like $400. So I feel like this is a lot cheaper. It's gonna get the same job done. So this might be something easily pushable just on price alone.
But they don't have a replacement for ours, correct?
No, they do not. I don't even know. I think Parallax is still in business, but the converters that they're pushing and the converters that the dealers are still using are the same ones they used in the 90s. Like, I'm pretty sure they're making the same product. And I think the reason it's so expensive is because they're still using sheet metal. Like, that's why we went to plastic a long time ago. ABS plastic's a lot lighter and it's a lot cheaper. They're still using stamped metal. I'm not sure why they would switch over, but some dealers do like them. Our 68100, which is this red face guy, it's also another converter, but it's a 100 amp converter. And it just gives you the option of the button pushing again. So just like the Charge Wizard, you can force this into bulk mode. But unlike the Charge Wizard, this doesn't give you a remote that you can do this from your bedroom. So this is something like they would actually have to go in the belly of their coach to push and hold this button. So it does the same thing, but it's a convenience thing where I don't think someone's gonna run out every hour to push a button under the belly. So I feel like the button pushing is gonna be a little bit less with that.
You said you use that for gel pens.
This one does have a selector switch on it that you can select it to gel, which would eliminate the bulk mode out of it because gel doesn't like bulk mode.
They make cords,
Yeah,
paramedics, or the wood.
they do.
Yeah, or that's one on Camping World. But it's way more expensive. 190 amp.
Yeah. I think it looks funny. I mean, I guess it looks like it might fit in there, but where their fan's located, you're gonna be blowing hot air onto a hot component. So I'm not sure how well that's gonna work, because it looks like the fan's right on the heat sink. And the way our fan is, it pulls from the back side. So this is how, if this is the panel itself, it's in like this, so it's blowing from the side and blowing out the side of the back. That'd be blowing on itself, kind of. I'm not sure. I've never actually heard of anyone putting a parallax mainboard in our converter. I guess they might. But yeah, the 68100 does have the gel cell selector switch. But on our other products, we don't recommend gels. We talked about the 5110. If you go to page 36, 37, that's our 5118, and our 5120, that's our 1800 and 1000 watt inverter. I feel like that's gonna be a hard push for you guys too. I don't know how much business you can actually get with those, just because we're not competitive when it comes to price. And it doesn't have the bells and whistles like our 5110. Obviously, we want you to push it, but I feel like that's gonna be a little combat for you. The only thing it has going for it is it is pure sine wave like our other inverter. And yeah, that's about it. Costs more. Just skip over energy management. That's really all I got, just because we had talked about this in depth yesterday, and like I said, you learn one of our converters and you know all of our converters. This book is gonna be your reference, obviously, for anything that we've talked about, whether it comes to the sizing chart or the converter replacement chart. And then starting on page 44, you have the troubleshooting made easy for all of our products. So that's something Eric will be able to give you guys for your dealers. I think she's gonna send each one of you guys boxes of these to hand out, so I'm sure your dealers will appreciate that.
When you do a tech training with, right now you've been doing it with the OEMs, correct? You know, kind of.
Do with, yeah.
So let's just kind of run me through, like, if you did that for dealers, what would that look like? Would you have like actual units and they would actually work on?
My normal training is not just talking. My
Yeah.
normal training, every one of you guys would have a converter in front of you.
Okay.
We would do voltage readings together, what is proper. We would trip breakers, we would blow fuses, just like how I talked to you yesterday, you can tell.
That's what I wanna do.
What?
That's what I wanna do.
So you're kind of
I
like,
wanna be smart like
you're
Steve.
kind of like Suburban. So when Suburban does a tech training, there's a water heater or
whatever.
Every single one of you guys would have a converter and a voltmeter and an amp meter. And we try to tell people, you don't only get voltage readings, you get a voltage and amperage reading, because low voltage can mean something's pulling an incredible amount of amperage because they go like this together.
Yeah.
So it's always a volt reading and an amp reading. But yeah, my normal training, every one of you guys would have a piece in front of you, and we would actually go through when the fan comes on, where to check voltages, what to do in this case, or, I mean,
Okay.
we don't just talk like.
You do that at OEM level?
Yeah. Yeah, I just did one last week with Forest River. We're training their own people at their factories, so each day they were sending in their electric group to learn about our converter, and then Brian Moran, who I worked with at Forest River, he was teaching them basic connections and basic 12-volt wiring. So kind of do a class that involves more than just one product and one aspect of the training.
How long is the class when you do it?
Our class, just on our products, is about 2 hours, depending on the size. But like I said, when if I had a class just like you guys, everyone would have a converter to start with. We'd go through how it should work, and then we'll go into scenarios of how it may not work, and then we'd get readings, and then we'd move on to a different product, because our 8900 is a screw terminal, and then we'd go to the 8700 that has the pigtail, so we'd tell them, hey, you could look out for these bad connections here, or anything else. But then we would also go and do the same thing on the inverter or the transfer switches. We power everything up and actually do readings as they're using the product itself instead of just talking about it. It's easier to train people when they have it in their hands than it's just talking to you.
So is that something that they get certified on, they get a certificate and things like that?
They do.
Okay.
But right now, we're trying to get our classes RVA certified, so they can get credits. So right now it's just a certification saying that they completed, say, Forest River training. So Forest River accepts that, and those people maybe get a little bit boost in money because of it.
I know a lot of dealerships like to have, their certifications.
We do certifications, but it's not RVIA certified, so if their techs trying to get their accreditation, then we're not really adding on to that though.
You say you're trying to do that though?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing that because we are gonna be branching out to teach more dealers and do hands-on training like that.
Doing any video, YouTubes, anything?
On our website, there are how-to videos of how to install some of our components, how to take them out, how they should function. So there are videos on our website.
Troubleshooting?
Troubleshooting is on there, yep.
Okay.
And I know we're gonna be adding more. I was actually supposed to turn one in already, and it's not done yet, so. Slacking.
Screw terminal is probably the most common OEM.
Absolutely, yeah. But they are starting to like pigtails. Some of our competitors make pigtails the standard. Pigtails for us increase our cost.
Oh,
So somehow they're doing it at a cheaper price for us, or than us. And we do have the option, but a pigtail, so 8500 comes with pigtail and screw terminal. Pigtail costs more than the screw terminal. So people are like, okay, I'll just use the screw terminal. Anybody else? Really, all I got left then is gonna be, you guys have my business card, and like I told someone over here earlier, if you guys want a list of what your dealers that you mainly utilize, like what they're using of our products, or what converter they're installing in these certain model coaches, you guys can email me privately, and I'll get you a specified information that is directly for you guys individually.
No.
Anybody else?
You're calling on which day? List your information. Whatever dealer you're calling on, I'm not calling.
Oh, I thought it
Which
was.
shepherd am I supposed to be good to?
Just making sure.
Are you gonna do it for your own account?
I thought he was something like.
No, you email him when you go to Orangewood, yeah, you tell him what lineup he has, he'll tell you. what
That's
they're-
all I
what they're on.
personally have for you guys. I'm gonna let Erica take over
He
for a
doesn't wanna
second,
send
talk
it
to
to
you
him.
guys.
He wants it,
Thank you,
so
buddy.
it's 400 pages,
I know, but
so you don't, once you were, you don't need to know what.
Alright,
Some dealer in Wisconsin
well,
that's
you
on there.
know by now, my name's Erica. I handle all of the marketing here, so I'm the whole department. Fun fact, I think I am the only one who actually camps here. In an RV.
she can't see.
Because I'm a man.
So, I grew up camping. That's how my brothers and I all played travel ball, baseball, and softball, and that's how my parents found it affordable, was to camp instead of staying in hotels. So, really familiar with that, which has been pretty helpful in my job. So I handle, like I said, pretty much anything marketing related I touch at one point or another. We do work with an advertising agency in downtown Elkhart who does all of our design work. So all of our ads, they design, and then if they need minor edits, I usually handle that. But there's a few of them, I think, in your training binder. But we also have newsletters. We have an aftermarket and OEM newsletter that goes out quarterly. So once, I think Todd was gonna send me all of your guys' emails, and I'll get you signed up for the aftermarket one, so you can see what we put out for that, or if there's any dealers that you have that you want added to that, just send me their emails and I can add that really easily. Press releases, website updates, product literature, all of that. I do all of our show forms and contracts for our distributors, show catalog ads. I handle all of that too.
You design their aftermarket boxes.
I worked with Takemarks on our aftermarket boxes, yep, so all of those were done within the last year. They used to be plain, boring brown boxes.
I don't get an American flag on it.
Hey.
You don't have to say anything, can we just put the flag?
Respect, right?
We support our troops.
So, yeah, all of that, videos, we don't have a tremendous amount of videos, it's something that we're trying to work on more. I'm doing a bunch for our new product that we're putting out right now. And then, branding stuff, like logos, headers, the packaging that Derek mentioned. I've been involved in all of that too. So, I mean, the main part that you guys will need with me is just any literature requests, anything like that. If a distributor or a dealer needs help with anything or getting updated literature, last year I went through with every distributor and updated.
Are we handing those out?
No,
We're not handing those
no,
out. Why?
because they go to two people who drove. They're taking literature back, so we don't have to ship it.
That's what's the,
Ah.
unless you're gonna pay the extra for the.
Yeah, the baggage. Anyway, so I worked with every distributor last year going through, like, they all have, you know, their sites and stuff, going through all of their sites, making sure all the part numbers, the description, the pictures were all up to date. So I gave them the correct information. Whether or not they used it, I'm not sure, but they at least have it. So if you guys have any questions or need anything from me, my card's also in your lovely binder, so.
Is there any plans to come up with anything for like dealer giveaways, like the text, like caps and coolie cups, whatever, just something to give them if they, you know, if we do trainings with them, it's always nice to have them. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Together, they flew. We did t-shirts and.
You got room for t-shirts.
Yes.
program. We have a lot left over. But we also do, for like the shows, the big shows, NTP and RBX, we did,
Any of RBX?
Yeah.
Joke, right?
Yeah, we'll do your leftovers from RBX. We'll
we
take
did,
those.
charging cables to kind of go along with like power and everything. So those are really popular. We've done ice cubes before that flash, and people go crazy over those. I don't know why, but they go crazy. Yeah. So we do have hats that we ordered for Todd. He's kind of in charge of, yeah, distributing those out. So, I don't know what his plans are for that. I just order stuff. So, I'm sure that we do usually a couple things a year, so I'm sure that we'll have some more stuff.
So, I mean,
We
if
have hats.
we're going around setting up your POP with product then for $1,800, I'm sure we get a deal when they have open houses.
Sure.
Give us some door prizes and stuff like coffee cups and hats.
And we've done that in the past. Todd usually will email me and send me their address to ship out a little box and stuff.
I think everyone's Todd's gonna talk over the POP and all that great stuff after lunch. I'll be free, so I won't be here.
Very good. You're gonna take off on your bike, leave us here, it's a
My
nice
Huffy.
day.
You're Huffy. What's wrong with Huffy?
What else we got?
That's all I have.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll be in contact.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing, we're in our last, like, I think we've got 40 boxes of catalogs left, and there's 50 in a box. We used to only have 6 reps, so jumping up to 17 is a bit, different for us. So we are going to order more catalogs, but every time we order more, we update the catalog. So, after these 40 run out, the next time most of you get them, it'll be a new
Give them
catalog.
all the guys that have the trucks and then we'll just get the other.
Yeah.
These are the shirts that we have now. This says Power Ambassadors, and those we are ambassadors of power. So that's the shirt we have now, but I'm sure if you guys have anything that you think will be great, you can forward it to Erica and she will make it personal.
Oh, yeah. Super crafty.
You got anything else?
You got release forms for the video?
What?
You have release forms for the video?
Well, it's only going to you guys, apparently, so if you don't want to see each other, that's unfortunate.
Really not.
I want to see Billboard.
Mike, what were you telling Jerry over there in front of the camera?
Do what?
What were you telling Jerry over there in front of the camera?
Jerry don't talk to me.
I didn't fold it.
I do.
Does anyone have any questions over anything and everything?
I think you pretty much hit it.
Yeah.
We've been into Ripple.
What?
We got into the ripple.
Ripple reminds me of Ruffles, and I love Ruffles. But, exactly. No, we're a little early, but we'll be getting lunch in here shortly, so if you guys wanna go call your husbands, your wives, your girlfriends, your side girlfriends, your side boyfriends,
Emails.
anything and everything, we got a little bit of time to
Kenny,
go.
I'm right
before
here.
lunch will get
Yeah,
here.
I'll just turn to you.
I think they're catering in tacos, so I think tacos.
Taco. Nice. We like tacos. Taco time.
Oh, the catalogs are up here, they're way in the warehouse, they're gonna go back.
Look at it that way. Look at it that way.
No, they're in the
Okay, you got it. You got it.
Talk about that, just do, you want to make all 1,000, 2,000, I'll have them there this week for you. Okay, so you only need to go down. Yes. All right, perfect, no problem, I'll get it to you, sir. Thanks, James, bye-bye, bye.
No, you gotta tell him.
That's a tough one, you get somebody that just, for whatever reason can't absorb it.
And that's exactly what it is.
George knew it was coming.
Oh, I was just over there, I heard him, I'm just over there shaking my head. Talk about that battery. I'm like, good recovery, Bill.
South Dakota.
That was funny. That's what I tell TSA every time we go out there.
Oh my gosh, we went through security one time and he goes, hey. And the lady like looked at him.
She's like, I'm not touching those.
Just eliminated.
Yeah. I've never, like, I go
Nice
there, I
outside.
usually have like an American flag.
Reason to go out.
Someone wants to, you're right, but, on the back of so they always pull it up to the side, he's like, "Hey, what's up?"
They, one time, yeah, they did have me. I tell my parents.
Yeah.
I know it, man.
From me to you.
Thank you very much.
Salt
and vinegar, my favorite.
See, your dad, you wouldn't even do it when he gave those to me. He gave me the chili cheese, and you got the salt.
Chili cheese.
Chili cheese and salt.
Chili cheese whiz.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's a sexual thing.
Colorado.
Hey, George, no.
When did you start being nice to me?
You know what the success
Turn
of
'em on.
long marriages? Keeping sex dirty and the fights clean.
I will be nice to Jerry, since you sent me a memo.
That's the whole thing to a long marriage.
Did he send you a handwritten memo?
Yes, he did.
Right, Marty? Yeah, he doesn't have a good marriage.
Can't hear anybody.
Take your Cheetos.
I've got some sun chips over there, only 19 carbs.
Got a special present.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Low calorie. Hands free. Good for your complexion.
I just said we don't need three, yes, two. So, we don't need four.
I'm gonna ask a question today, why we need 26 units, I counted those, 26 units. Competitor does 7. 25 DRS I mean, do you find 30, 40, 50, 60? Yeah, you find somebody to build one. It does all that.
Put them switches on there.
More depth switches.
Yeah, more depth, just put them switches on it.
Coming to Redneck Riviera this year.
They just wanted to be outside.
Yeah, no, you're not, Weaver.
That's perfect. That's fine.
I fought for you, though, you know,
we've got a problem there. They don't want my dealer there, who lives right there, so I'm always scared he's gonna find out I'm there.
Yeah. You gotta go incognito.
And I'm worried about Hawkins and Roca, because you can't stand either one of them. Which is why they don't want him there.
Hawkins has got a lot of people who don't like, isn't it?
It's so hard to work in Texas with those two.
That's right, he's got limited places you can actually go.
None of them like Bill Wilde, they all hate me. I don't RV hotel.
Yeah, it sounds like they're changing locations from the last 2 years.
Because I'm looking at 3 houses.
Yeah, it's double.
The last 2 years, those are probably wasn't exactly a five-star resort.
Never is, we got Hawkins in charge of it.
Well, but I don't think it's intended to be a five-star.
Yeah.
It also doesn't need to be a half-star.
Yeah.
Keep it somewhere in between.
The last time I went, I had Joe Santos sleeping above me on the bunk bed, farting all night.
Yeah, my room was, Nick Rammel's sponsor from Meyer, and then Kip and Brett, over St. Louis, and then, yeah, Northcutt, and, who's it, oh, yeah, the air conditioning unit over there. And I was out on the floor of my own home, and it was a unique layout.
We had a wonderful day. We had the Carefree meeting that was up towards Estes Park. And we borrowed an RV. And I got stuck in a bunk bed in an RV.
Yeah, but-
I'm a short person, and I couldn't stretch my legs out.
John, tell them what we did, what I did.
Well, I pumped 100 gallons of gas into
Get
the
a
diesel motorhome.
It's out there
I
running.
laid underneath it.
Yeah.
Jumping that, running back to their spare tank.
Run all this money out down the gutter.
Because he's so used to looking at green handles and
Oh, yeah.
Amoco, where he used to do, yellow was the diesel, and green was the premium. So he
Filmed this damn motorhome.
Pumped all the premium.
Oh, yeah.
So how'd you figure it out? Did you figure out why they were pumping it?
He did.
I did.
I think I walked up to him, I said, Jared, is this gas or diesel?
Oops.
And I borrowed the trailer and
I had the motorhome.
And he got the motorhome.
So we crawled
From
under the
Nolan.
station, and we're dumping all this gas in.
Yeah, leaning.
We ain't even paid for it.
We never heard back from him, so it must have hurt the Good thing is gas weighs more than diesel.
Yeah, get it out the bottom and let it, so no performance issues?
Because all he did is, once we discovered that, he backed away and then we just stood right there, so it didn't run any into the line.
Never made it through.
And then we dumped it till it stopped coming out, so if there was any in there, it was probably my news.
$300 later.
Well, we could have ended up buying a diesel engine over that deal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, that's good old days, huh?
Jerry, run the song,
What?
the fluty song.
Well, I can do the carefree feeling. I got that carefree feeling
That's
deep
how we're
in
gonna wrap up
my
today.
heart, deep in my heart.
I was gonna say, the patchwork will take admin.
Marty, why don't you look for me a nice 17-foot center console boat?
What's that?
A boat. I'm looking for a 17-foot console boat.